everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the No Easy Way Out podcast. My name is Tony Nash, and we are coming to you, as always, from the Armory in beautiful downtown Owosso, home to my company, AZ Business Solutions, where we help grow your brand from A to Z.
And we love working with AZ Business Solutions. Today's episode is brought to you by AZ Business Solutions. At AZ, we help you grow your brand from A to Z. One of the many ways that we can do that is through our logo design services.
Hey, Jordan, why is your logo so important?
Oh, well, a logo is the face of your business. It's how customers and clients and consumers recognize your brand. It's a reflection of your personality, or in case of your business, it reflects your values and your principles.
You don't say.
I do say.
You do say, okay.
I do say. It's also the most important marketing tool in your arsenal. Without a great logo, it's nearly impossible to establish yourself in today's business world. In simpler terms...
Could you say that in simpler terms for us?
In simpler terms, your logo is a mental shortcut to your product or your company.
That's much easier to understand. Thank you for clarifying that.
There you go.
We got to slow down for Zach over there. He's just getting up today.
You're doing like the Jimmy Fallon and Will Ferrell when he's doing the, what's that song?
Oh, yeah. Don't stop believing.
Yeah.
Living in a lonely world.
Did she stay there or was she traveling?
Where train did he take?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, but you know, having just any logo is not enough to create the right identity for your brand. Nope. A poorly thought out logo can severely damage your company's image.
We don't want that.
And on the other hand, a skillfully designed and well thought out logo can reach your customers and communicate to them the image and worth that you want your company to project.
I wish there was a place somewhere around that would just take care of that whole process for you.
Huh. Well, there is.
If only there was.
There is. The design of your logo is extremely important and should not be taken lightly. Therefore, you should contact AZ Business Solutions. Visit our website at az.co.
All right, and we'll create an amazing logo for you. We would love to help you with that. We've worked with a lot of brands in our area and even in our nation. We did some logos all over the country. So we'd love to help you grow your brand by starting with that logo. That's a very important thing. So, well, guys, welcome today. How's everybody feeling today?
Feeling good.
Feeling good?
Yes, sir.
Wired, fired, not even tired? Jordan, you just got back from a little vacay with your wife. Tell us about what you did over the last couple days.
Yeah, we went to this event at a church in Hazlitt, and it's called School of Worship, and it was really cool. Yeah, and we got to learn more about authentic worship, that we are designed to worship the Creator. Like he made us, he created us to give him
Did you wear your
worship.
Multiply Worship gear?
You
should. That would have been Jordan. That was a miss.
Man, you're calling me out.
That was a miss.
I needed to.
Opportunity there missed.
But it was fun. It was a 3-day event, and we really dove into some worship and some Bible, and it was good. It was fun.
Well, me and Zach had a good time while you were gone. We got to actually go to Agnew Graphics, or Agnew Sign Company, about 27 times. They're wrapping our van right now, and so we got to get some video of that, and it was amazing to watch them. They just take this huge, long sheet of vinyl, and they just stick it up there with magnets, and then they start bringing out heat guns and knives
Squeegeeing it down,
and they just
it's
form
amazing.
that thing. It looks like it's painted on. It's incredible. Yeah, the people over there at Agnew Sign Company do absolutely amazing work. We're supposed to get our van back today or tomorrow, so we're excited. How do you think it's looking, Zach?
It's looking fantastic. I'm excited to see the finished product.
I know.
It's looking good.
It's like testing my patience, kind of watching it go step by step. But to watch those guys do it, it really is an art form. Like, I would not have the patience for it, and I'm so OCD that like it would take me weeks to get it perfect. They don't have one single bubble in it. It's incredible to watch. I've seen some of their finished products, but I've never really watched the process, and it's absolutely amazing. But we had, what was it, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? We had snow days, of course.
Oh, yeah. It snowed so much.
We don't get snow days at work, but I had to go pick Zach up from work, from his house, because he's got a little Impala, and it was like
wasn't going to make it out.
It was not coming out. So I went and picked Zach up in the four-wheel drive, and we went and then we ended up having breakfast for dinner.
Yeah, we did.
At BJ's.
That was a good time.
Steak and eggs.
Nice.
Zach taught me. So I'm a big fan of like dipping the toast in the in the egg yolk, and Zach informed me that that's what.
But have you heard of?
That's what
dipping
children do.
The hash browns in the egg yolk. That's a whole nother level.
No, I've never.
It's another
never
level.
heard of that.
It's a great treat. He informed me that that's what little kids do, is the toast. Once you become a
No,
man.
I was just saying that I learned that when I was a kid.
Once you become a man, you apparently got to go hash browns in the egg yolk.
You apparently got to do it.
It was a good time. I know Zach's excited because his favorite artist is dropping a new song today.
New song at noon today.
So that you have a connection to that, and tell us why.
A connection to what now?
To this band. It's called NF.
Yeah, it's one rapper. His name is NF.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's not a band. I'm a little out of the loop.
Oh, so you're wanting the okay. So last time it was 2 years ago when he dropped his first song of a new album. Me and my buddy Sills Fitness.
Yeah,
Sills. We reacted to it on YouTube, and then that's how our YouTube channel started.
Blew up.
He got a lot of views.
First song there. So Zach has a YouTube channel. It's just called Zach Snyder. Yeah, but it has 60,000 subscribers.
Yep.
And they used to do these reactions, but Zach is a YouTube star. He's a micro-influencer. So if you need to get your stuff out there on YouTube, Zach's your guy. But yeah,
I'm your star.
Their first reaction was to this guy who's dropping a new song today. So Zach's pretty excited. I just learned it's not a band. It's one guy.
It's one guy.
But it's been pretty cold out, guys. I mean,
it's a cold world out there.
Have you guys seen what's going on in Texas? Texas is having like their first snowstorm in like since the 70s.
That's insane.
So there's videos that people are posting of like their roof caving in because the pipes are freezing, and apparently their whole power system's off the grid. And Texas has its own power grid or whatever. So it's crazy. I'm watching people post all these videos of just walking through their house and like 6 inches of water, and their roof just caved in. And so I didn't even know it'd get cold in Texas. I thought this is like Dallas, San Antonio, all of those places. So
yeah, well, they have a separate power source.
They have a separate
than
power
the rest
grid.
Of the country.
Yeah, because they wanted to avoid government regulation. You know, Texas is always kind of trying to be its own state. You know, the Lone Star state, trying to be its own thing, separate from the union. And that's just one way that they did to kind of
either be America or don't be America.
Right. I have some Texans that might disagree with you on that. They think they are America. Yeah. So, but yeah, they'll just say remember the Alamo if you say something like that. So that's their line.
Yeah.
But yeah, their separate power grid is not working right now, and so they're having some problems. But hopefully that'll get struck
down by lightning.
Yes. No, I hope that'll get solved soon.
Terrible.
Well, our guest today, I want to bring up this last topic because I want our next guest. I want our guest today to weigh in on it because. Did you guys see the video of Tom Brady? Of course, we all are Tom Brady fans. Even Jordan, who's a Michigan State fan, and we'll get to that in a minute. He appreciates the greatness of Tom Brady.
Oh yeah.
How can you not?
He's the GOAT. But did you see the video of him in the boat parade? And he literally throws the trophy like 20 feet
from one boat to another boat.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's a legendary move.
That's a legendary move.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, we love him. But now apparently the daughter of the people who make the trophy is demanding an apology from Tom Brady. I mean, to me, my opinion is Tom Brady can do whatever he wants. He's got 7 of them. If he wants to throw it underwater, let him do it, man. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, isn't he a professional at throwing things, too?
Well, yeah, that's true. That's his job. Is kind of throw. If you want anybody throwing, I guess you want the greatest quarterback of all time, right?
I mean, I would say that they the Lombardi Trophy went on a great trip that week, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it got to be
memorable.
Tossed. Yeah, exactly.
Well, you remember a few years ago, Gronk.
They did it justice.
Gronk a few years ago hit it with a baseball. Hit a baseball with it, put a big old.
Julian Edelman was pitching to him. Yeah.
So he wasn't allowed to hold the trophy for a while.
That's funny.
But listen, if you win the Super Bowl 7 times, like I feel like you can.
I would say so.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So I want to get my guest opinion. Our guest today is a proud University of Michigan grad. He is the
Go Blue.
Go Blue. Yeah. The president of the Shiawassee Economic Development Partnership and the only 2-term Mr. Owosso in the history of Owosso, and that is the one and only Justin Horvath. Justin, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, Tony. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Yeah, and what is your thoughts about Tom Brady throwing the trophy, and then does he owe them an apology?
You know what's interesting? I got to tell you, I was extremely impressed with his pass because if you really think about it, that trophy is a very oddly shaped object, right? Yeah. And so for him to be able to do that over water, and quite honestly, I don't think he was sober either.
Well, he was zooted, right?
Yeah. That was a lot of pressure, and he executed it perfectly.
And he hit the receiver right in the numbers.
I mean, it was perfect. It was the tight end, I think, right? Cameron Braid.
Yeah, it was a perfect route.
But, I hear about things they do with the Stanley Cup every year. They drink from it. They do all kinds of crazy stuff. So, if anything, it just brought more notoriety to the trophy, I
agree.
think. So, and I think you're right, though. Brady can do what he wants. 7 Super Bowls. He's earned the right.
Absolutely. Yeah. And who, it's not like Patrick Mahomes did it. This is Tom Brady.
It's Tom Brady.
This is Tom Brady.
He's the greatest of all time. No question
about it. And I don't think I'm saying that just because I'm a huge Michigan fan. That helps. That certainly helps my case. But he's just, I mean, 7 Super Bowls. How can you deny it? 7.
He's undeniable. Yeah.
Well, and you think about, to me, the age factor, right? So Tom was there when I was there in Ann Arbor. He was 1 year older than me, so he's 43. I'm 42. So I remember him playing in college, and to think that he can still compete at this level today at this age is just amazing.
It's insane.
You know, even the greatest players like, Michael Jordan, played till he was like 35, right? He's 43 and still delivering. Incredible.
Yeah, Jordan retired, and then he came back, I think, at 40, but he was not the same. I mean, he played he went to a new team just like Tom Brady did, and they didn't even make the playoffs. So not to deny the greatness of Michael Jordan, but for Tom Brady to leave an organization he's been with his whole career, go to a team that hasn't made the playoffs in 16 years, and then take him to the championship and then win it. I mean, then beat Aaron Rodgers, to beat Drew Brees, to beat Patrick Mahomes. I mean, like the greatest quarterback of the newest generation, and Aaron Rodgers, they say, is the greatest quarterback, before Mahomes. So, I mean, just incredible run. Incredible run. So, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But so Justin and I, we are in the same building here at the Armory. He is, as I mentioned, he's the president of the SEDP. We're members of the SEDP. And we've worked together at a lot of things, but for a while there, we were working out together at Fitness Coliseum.
Yes.
Justin's still doing it. You probably haven't seen me there in a while.
We're glad to have you back, Tony.
Yeah,
whenever you're ready.
I'm excited about the move downtown. Just a little jog to the new location. I mean, it's just an excuse. I was in a great routine. I'd lost 62 pounds, feeling good, feeling like I was 15 years younger. And then when they closed the gyms at COVID, I just couldn't do the at-home workouts. I didn't really have a spot for it, and so I got out of the habit. So it's been really challenging for me to get myself back in the habit, but I got to get back on the train. So
I'll tell you, Tony, that was one of the single biggest things that got me through the height of the pandemic.
Really?
Is Brianna Carroll, the owner of Fitness Coliseum. She did virtual classes every day. And I would work at home, and at the end of the day, I would jump on the virtual and do the class. And it just kept me going. It built structure for me. And now I'm going every day. I'm there 6 days a week. I love it. Yeah.
No, when you get into a habit, like, I remember, like, really just getting up and wanting to be at the gym every single day. And now it's like I look for reasons to not go. So it's a habit thing. I got to get myself back in the good habit of it. But it's coming soon. I'm coaching basketball right now. This is my excuse for the moment. We're on a championship run. We have we have a quarterfinal game tomorrow night. If we win, we're in the semifinals. We got the number 2 seed. The team that is the 1 seed, we split with them in the season. So should be interesting. I'm hoping to take the guys there. So I've been devoting a lot of my time outside of work to that. Fortunately, I don't run with the guys. I just blow a whistle. But once that's done, it's going to free up about 25 hours a week in my schedule, and I'm hoping to get myself back in the gym. So make sure you hold me to that, Justin.
Well, and like you said,
we're right here.
We're coming downtown, too, so you'll be able to walk right down there.
No excuses.
No excuses. Yeah. That's right.
I'm sure I'll find one, but hopefully. So, Justin, you've done a lot to support local business over the last year. I mean, almost every day I see a post from you of a local business where you're saying support local, take out local, shop local, which is phenomenal. I think something every citizen should do, but certainly the president of the Economic Development Partnership. But you also did something interesting I wanted you to talk about. You when you got your stimulus money, you committed to spend all of it on local businesses. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, so this was the stimulus checks many months ago that came from the federal government. I said, I'm going to commit every dollar of that to buying gift packages from local businesses in Shiawassee County. So I believe it was $1,200, and I did 24 $50 gift packages from local business.
That's awesome. And those are the types of things that really not only encourage the small businesses owners, but I think it also spurs other people to remember. We've gotten used to, in this world of convenience, of buying online or making a quick trip to Walmart, and we forget about some of our local places sometimes. So that's extremely important, more than ever today. But tell our audience, for those who don't know what economic development is, tell our audience a little about what you do and what the Economic Development Partnership is all about.
That's actually a pretty good segue, talking about buying things online, because one of the issues with online buying, we think of Amazon, right? That's sort of the big one out there, is typically when you do that, you're sending money outside of your community. Right. And so what economic development really is, picture like a bucket of wealth. Every community has like a bucket. So like a bucket filled with sand, think of it wealth. The key to economic development is filling that bucket by bringing money from outside the community into the area. There's always a hole in the bucket as well.
Right.
So that's when we send money out. So you want to try to plug the hole in the bucket by getting people to spend money locally instead of sending it out of town. So the core premise of what we do, though, is to try to identify opportunities to bring that money in and keep that money from leaving. So we actually focus on certain types of business normally in what we do, either trying to help them stay and grow here or to try to attract them to come here. We call them contributory employers. So those are that money flow where it comes in. So really those businesses like manufacturing, warehousing, distribution, information technology. We're doing a lot more in agriculture and food processing. That's become big, obviously, since the start of the pandemic, given the grocery stores, supply chain challenges, things like that. So any of those sectors, though, that are bringing that money in, that's where we spend a lot of our time.
Okay. Well, I never heard it explained that way, so that's actually a very visual way of understanding what's happening. And, of course, that's never been more challenging, I think. Well, maybe in our lifetimes, never been more challenging than it is today. But what are some of the big things happening right now? I know we just, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. It's been almost a year now, and we're under a new administration in the White House. And so 2020 had tons of challenges. But what are some things going on that you're seeing right now in economic development? Not just, in the country, but particularly what's going on in Shiawassee County?
I don't know if you guys have heard of a K-shaped recovery, if you've heard that terminology.
I've heard the term.
It's floated out there a little bit.
Okay.
Think of it this way. There are a lot of businesses that were doing well when the pandemic started, and in some cases are doing better now than they ever have before. So you think of things like a trucking business.
We're one of those, actually.
There you go.
A lot of people wanted to get their stuff online because everybody's online right now, and so we've actually experienced unprecedented growth over the last 9 months. But that's a perfect example.
In anything related to e-commerce, things like that. The story I normally point to a lot locally is Josh's Frogs.
Yeah. We just had them on the show.
Did you? Very good. So, Josh Willard, they have just taken off because they're a completely, e-commerce, model. So those businesses like yours, like them, have continued to go on the upward slope of the K, but sadly, we've had a number of businesses that have been hurt and still have not been able to recover. I would classify those in the social gathering industry. So obviously we think of things like restaurants, events, tourism, transportation, anything that brings people together.
Concerts, sporting events.
Concerts, those are the ones that have struggled. Now what's interesting though, with that, Shiawassee County, we actually don't have as much of that. I mean, I think the listeners know this county is really a farming and factory county at the heart of it. That's always been our heritage here, which has not, at least today, been as impacted as those sectors. So interestingly enough, our unemployment rate in Shiawassee County is almost 3% below the state average.
Wow.
Yeah, and that normally is not the case. Normally we've always trended a little bit higher, but we're way below because we have relatively less in those sectors. Now what's going on, and this is a really interesting challenge as it relates to the labor pool, is so you have this separation. You got businesses struggling, you got businesses doing well. There's hundreds of open jobs in Shiawassee County. And by the way, AZ Business Solutions did our jobs board on our website. Thank you for that, SEDPweb.org.
Yeah.
Put a little plug in there.
Appreciate that.
So there's hundreds of openings. Companies are crying to us, these contributory employers I'm talking about that are doing well, they need people. But then there's also a lot of people that have been unemployed by the pandemic that are on that downslope of the K curve. So what we're looking at now, how do we fix that? How do we maybe look at, skills retraining or just, connecting people to those opportunities to get them in those jobs?
Right. Well, I've heard a lot of people say that we won't really see the full impact of these lockdowns, shutdowns, businesses being closed, or businesses even being open with really heavy restrictions, that we're not going to really see the full impact of this for about 18 months. Do you think that's true, or what is your take on that?
When this pandemic started, we charged into battle. I mean, that's how we looked at it.
Sure.
We know there's the health battle, and we have great medical people working on that. But from the business side, we saw a big battle here to help our companies stay alive. So what I saw right from the start, and I see to this day, there's still a lot of resilience. Entrepreneurs, local business people, started a business, grown a business, they want to continue to fight. They're fighting for their business lives. Yeah. And I've been really pleased. I'm not going to say amazed, because we have a lot of great, resilient people, but we have not had as many closures, I think, as we could have because of that. I do think some of the stimulus did help that, state and federal. But yeah, you're right. The longer it goes on, the more that, for example, right now the restaurants are not allowed to operate, and they just got announced that, for another 6 weeks they can't operate at full capacity. Right. The longer that goes on, that resilience starts to wane. So that's why we got to figure out a way. We got to get things open back up.
Well, and, my perspective is, our company had a banner year in the sense that there was a lot of money through the relief packages, through the CARES Act, through economic development, that was given to help businesses rebound and help them build a website or help them create a great promotional video. And so we were employed by the Small Business Development Center, the SBC. We were employed by the Michigan Economic Development and a few others to help companies rebound. So there was this big influx of business that happened because of that, and there's no guarantee that that similar influx is going to be there this time next year. Mm-hmm. And so that could have an impact on us, and that if we don't plan properly for the future, if we ride this wave of growth and not anticipate that it could have been a moment in time that may have a dip that could hurt us in the sense that we may have to lay people off or we may have to change some strategy. So we're trying to come up with ways to continue the growth, to utilize the funds we have to invest in the company and grow the company, bring on more people. We're investing in a sales force to help continue a flow of work. But I think if companies listening, if you maybe are experiencing some growth, and if you're not looking 12 months ahead and saying, okay, how do we match this growth next year without any type of, influx in these different things? And they may come again, I don't know, but they may not. So I think that's something people need to consider.
Yeah, it's really interesting. One thing I've learned from businesses over the years, one thing they like or dislike more than high cost is uncertainty. And that's really what we're operating in right now, is a very uncertain world. We don't know what's going to happen a month from now, let alone 18 months from now. So it's really hard to predict. It's hard to make capital investments, particularly large-scale investments, without knowing that. Right. So it's represented, I've been doing this almost 19 years now. It's represented a time I've never seen, and I agree with you. Some of the stimulus, for example, the PPP, we got over $60 million into Shiawassee County. Yeah. Over 600 businesses got that money. It was needed, absolutely. It's helped keep things afloat. But
and there's another round going around now.
There's another round going around now. There is some state money that's been flowing on there. So I do view it as every little bit helps our companies get through. But ultimately, what I hear from businesses is they want to reopen. They want the opportunity. They want to work. They don't want to be reliant upon a stimulus check from the state or federal government.
No. All the entrepreneurs I've talked to have said we don't want more handouts. We don't want more. I mean, obviously they're going to take it to stay alive, but they'd rather just do what they love to do and go back to work and serve their customers. And so, well, I hope that we start to see things turn around. We're 1 month away from 1 year of 2 weeks to slow the spread.
Yeah, hard to believe.
The hard thing is it never gets put out like, okay, we're going to do this for the next 3 months and then it's done. It's always like 2 weeks at a time. And so it's like disheartening. People get kind of, okay, we're moving out of it, and then this happens. And I know there's a lot of unpredictability with it, but my thought is this has been going on for a year now. We know a lot more about this virus than we did then. And I think we really have to start making responsible decisions of how, we can't make the cure worse than the actual virus. So, well, let's go on to your role at the Shiawassee Economic Development Partnership. How did you get into the role? How did you get into this? Something you wanted to do your whole life, or how did you stumble upon this?
This is a great question. So we went to school at the University of Michigan, as was mentioned. Go Blue. Got my bachelor's in economics. Then I went on to grad school there. Was in the public policy school, Gerald R. Ford School of Public Policy, by the way. He was a true statesman. I wish we had more Jerry Fords still around. But anyway, it was a 2-year program, and I had to do an internship after my first year. in college. Didn't know what I was going to do. Really was not at a point in my life, even though I had my bachelor's degree, where I was really thinking about the future. I was still in college, right?
Right.
And
living life. And fascinating. My mother, who works in Memorial Healthcare, she's the surgical scheduling coordinator. She got a fax on the fax machine. I don't know if the listeners remember those. We still use faxes, right? This was 19 years ago, by the way. Wow. So she got a fax on the fax machine. It was addressed to one of the doctors or surgeons down there, that the local Chamber of Commerce was starting something called economic development as part of the chamber. My mother had gone to high school with the then CEO of the chamber, Carol Vaughn. Many people know Carol. Yeah. She owns Heavenly Scent Pet Grooming out north of Owosso. Anyway, so she went to high school, and she said, hey, I know Carol. She was great, really smart. You need to do an internship this summer, right? Maybe you could go work on this. This sounds kind of interesting. Economic development, business, jobs, all that. And I had no idea what it was. Yeah. That sounds economics. I got an economics degree, economic development. So I got a hold of Carol, and I said, hey, Carol, you don't know me. You went to high school with my mother. I need to do an internship. She was a U of M person, too, by the way. And she said, hey, come on in, and, kind of interviewed a little bit. And she said, we're just getting this thing started. I mean, literally just getting it started. We'd love to have you come on board this summer. So this was 2002. So I started right out of my first year in grad school. So I wrapped up in late April, started the next week after classes ended, and never left. I mean, I was an intern for the next year and a half while I finished grad school. I came on board full-time, worked my way up through the organization. We actually separated from the chamber, became our own private nonprofit in 2009. So I became the president and CEO of the SEDP as a standalone about 12 years ago now. Wow. And been doing it ever since. But, crazy. And you love it.
I love it my whole career because of that, because my mother saw a fax on the fax machine. It's amazing how these things happen.
I need to bring the fax machines back.
I guess so.
Do you know what a fax machine is?
I've never used one. No, I don't know what it is.
But you know what it is.
I've never seen one either, no.
You've never seen a fax machine?
Wow. I feel old now.
That's incredible. Jordy, you know what a fax machine is?
It's like, it looks like a printer, and it has a phone on it.
You can actually, send a printed paper to someone else's machine and it'll print it off. It was very high tech back in the day. But now it's just to send an email, right? Oh, yeah. I actually have people who have requested to fax them something. I'm like, we don't have a fax machine, that's no. But some people still use it. Yeah. Some people still believe it, but I still use it. But okay, so let's talk about U of M, all right?
Okay.
So we're all decked out today. We got our, Michigan gear on. I got my Harbaugh hat. Zach's wearing his Michigan gear. Jordan's wearing his daughter's Michigan State shirt today. No, he's looking buff over there. So Jordan is a Michigan State fan. We wanted to support Michigan teams today, so we let him wear his Michigan State. But so you graduated from Michigan in what year?
So I got my bachelor's in 2001, and I got my master's in 2003.
Okay. So before I even really met Justin, I knew he was a big Michigan fan because we became friends on Facebook, and of course that's how you know everything about everybody now. And he posted all kinds of stuff. But you've been a season ticket holder for quite a few years. At one point before the pandemic, how many home football games and basketball games consecutively had you been to?
I've been to 104 straight home football games until this past year.
How many seasons is that?
15 or 16.
Wow.
Maybe 17
Never
years.
missed one.
Never missed one.
Wow.
Every single game.
I'm sorry.
I know. Well, I hate to say this. My freshman year.
15 years has been tough.
Well, so my freshman year in college was the year we won the national championship.
So you were hooked.
So it was hooked, but it's been all downhill since then, sadly. We've had, a few moments of success, but it's been a struggle the last few years.
It's been a big struggle.
I tell, everybody now, we're a basketball school.
Yeah.
That's where our success is, obviously. We're not a football school.
One loss, baby.
They're doing great. They looked great last week against Wisconsin.
Yeah, they started off a little slow, but they came back, and Juwan Howard's got those guys really believing and playing well. I was curious as to how he would do coming out of Beeline's system, because Beeline is a good coach, I thought. And I don't know why he left Michigan to go to the NBA. I mean, that to me seemed like just such a, especially Cleveland. I don't know. It just didn't seem like a good move. But I was excited to see Juwan Howard. My first passion of falling in love with Michigan was during the Fab Five.
Oh, yeah.
And Jalen Rose and Juwan Howard were my two favorite players. So when he came back, I actually had a Juwan Howard and Jalen Rose jersey. And so when he came back to coach, that was pretty exciting. And so, it is true. Like right now, we are a basketball school. I mean, we've had the last 6 to 8 years, we've had some really good runs. And this year, I think we're going to be a number 1 seed. We've had a little bit of challenge, obviously, with not being able to play for a couple of weeks, but team's looking good.
They are. I think they have a real chance to win the national championship this year.
Too.
They got talent, they got experience, they got great coaching. I mean, they're playing in the toughest conference in the country too.
Yeah. How many basketball games do you go to? Do you have season tickets for basketball as well?
I do. Yeah. So I make most of those games. It's interesting. It's a little harder for basketball. We're 65 miles from Ann Arbor, so
day, yeah.
I can make 6, 7, 8 Saturdays in the fall when the weather's good. But boy, on a Tuesday night in the middle of January and there's 2 feet of snow out there, it gets a little tougher. But it's been hard not being there this year. There's nothing like being in the stadiums. The experience.
No question about it. Are they letting any fans into basketball in the Chrysler Arena right now?
I think the family can get in, kind of like the football family.
Yeah.
Just a few people can be in there.
So Zach, when did you become a Michigan fan? You've been that your whole life, or was there some team that you?
I was a diehard Michigan fan when I was really young, like 2nd and 3rd grade maybe.
What year was that? It was
2006. We were 11-0.
Yeah.
We were ranked number 2 in the country.
Yeah.
In Ohio State.
Bo Schembechler died that week. He died on Friday.
Yeah, sure, he did. Yeah. And we lost to Ohio State, and it was a killer for a little kid. And then we lost to USC in the bowl game. We just got beat up. And so from that point on, I was a Boise State fan. I really liked what they did at.
You liked the blue field?
Well, I liked the blue field, but I liked the Oklahoma, the Fiesta Bowl, all the trick plays they used. I just thought it was so creative what they do, like with their field and everything. So I was a Boise State fan for the next 6 years probably, and then I'm sort of back to a Michigan fan now, but I mean it's been rough.
It's hard to be.
It has been rough.
Yeah, that 06 game was a real inflection point.
It was,
right there. I mean, had we won that game, it could have been a whole different story. So you're a fair weather fan though.
Yeah. Well, I remember the first time I ever cried at an athletic game. I was, I think, 12 years old, and it was 1992. When Chris Webber ran to the corner of the UNC game and called timeout. And we didn't have a timeout, and I remember just literally bawling my eyes out. And I'm like, man, I've always been a big basketball fan. Like I said, I'm a basketball coach now, but man, that was a tough moment, and especially because Chris Webber had such a phenomenal college career, and you're thinking, is this how? And then he left. I'm like, he should have played one more year just to get that off his, but he didn't. And then he had a tough pro career. He had a few good seasons, but battled with injuries, but. Yeah, that was my first. I think my dad was always a Michigan fan, so I kind of liked him. But that was really the first introduction to where I was like, "This is my team." I love the baggy shorts and the whole thing. That's kind of was my connection.
Yeah, so my one where I got really really upset actually was a year or two later. It was 1994. It was when we lost to the Hail Mary by Cordell Stewart, Colorado.
Yes.
If anybody remembers that.
Yep.
I've seen highlights of it. Yeah.
He threw that ball 73 yards on the fly. It was incredible. Just a heartbreaking loss.
Yeah.
I got so upset over that.
If you're a fan of any Michigan team in general, sports, pro or college, you've had some heartbreaks.
Yes.
And you've had a tough go that we have just not generally had. Now, we had the Red Wings for a while. They were like the Yankees of hockey, but it's been tough. So Jordan, we have to know what was it that made you, want to be a Michigan State fan?
Yeah, my dad went to Michigan State, graduated from there, and my uncle. And then my wife went to Michigan State and graduated from there. And then my mother-in-law currently works there. So
you're stuck.
Through and through.
Yeah.
I'm a Michigan State fan. And really,
and you like being the little brother.
The sports aspect of it, really, in 2010 with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that really got me into it, especially that Wisconsin game where they threw that Hail Mary at the last minute and won it. So, yeah.
Well, we won't talk about the punt missed around the world where Michigan State beat us because we didn't catch a punt.
So I got a story on that. I was at the game, of course.
You were, yeah,
but this shocks people when I tell this story. That was actually not the worst part of my night there. So, of course, I'm upset. I didn't cry. I just literally stormed out of the stadium. I'm like, I'm done. I'm gone. I walked right out.
Coming to another game.
I'm done, right? Here's the problem. I parked near the stadium, Ann Arbor Pioneer, which is right next door. And I get out there, and I want to leave. I want to go home. And I swear to you, the parking was so jam-packed, I couldn't get out of the parking lot for like 2 hours. And so, the game ended at like, I don't know, 7:30, 8 o'clock. I did not get home until 11:30 that night. So
all that time to sit there and boil and watch the State fans run out screaming.
Just
I know.
sitting there
Hey,
like
we
this.
won. Yeah. I'm like we couldn't move. I mean, I'm stuck. That was the worst part of it. Yeah.
Well, so here's a big difference I've noticed between Michigan State fans and Michigan fans, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I have noticed, in general, Michigan fans, when Michigan is not in the running, like they're out of the tournament or they're not playing against Michigan State, Michigan fans will root for Michigan State because they're Big Ten, they're part of our state. You know, I rooted for the Flintstones, and Tom Izzo's a phenomenal coach. It's undeniable.
Never Ohio State, though.
Never Ohio State.
That's
never.
inexcusable. Well, that's not true, though. If you remember one year, I'm going to test your memory here. If you remember this, the year we won the Big Ten title, first one under Beeline, Zach Novak was on the team. You remember him? We needed Ohio State to beat MSU in East Lansing on the last day to share the title. So I became a Buckeye fan for one day. Because of that.
There you go. Yes. There's always an exception to the rule.
Yes.
Exactly. But what I have noticed is Michigan State fans will not, under any circumstance, root for Michigan, no matter how well they're doing. Yeah.
Well,
that's a classic little brother.
It really is.
That's like, I have sons, and my son, the little brother, will never root for his big brother. It's just, he just won't do it.
They've made themselves a little brother on their own.
To Michigan State, it's the same thing with the Ohio State-Michigan rival. But for Michigan State, it's Michigan.
You know what? That's exactly what I've told people, because MSU looks at us as the biggest rival, but we don't give that same respect back because Ohio State is our biggest football rival. And I think that's where a little chip on the shoulder comes from.
But if you look at the last 10, 15 years, Michigan State has dominated us in football.
Oh, yeah.
So they're becoming more of a rival even than Ohio State. But for years, Michigan State was not even – they weren't a football school. And they're still really not a football school. But for years, Michigan State didn't even come close to Michigan. It was just a game that we always won. Once in a while, there'd be a loss.
I got to throw this in here, too. And to bring it full circle, I think Ohio State may look at Michigan State as their big old rival after in football. Think about it.
They've been more successful
more recently
than we have.
Sorry, had to throw that in.
That's all right.
I know that stings.
It's true though.
Yeah.
Truth hurts.
How's Michigan State's basketball season going?
Ooh.
We'll just wait until March 7th to answer that.
Listen, that's true. If you can say everything about Izzo, he can always have a bad season, but he always can get those guys to turn it on in the tournament. He just does that. But again, I can acknowledge that because I'm not insecure about my team, So
not this year. We got a great team.
That's right.
All right, I'll give you that.
Okay, so Mr. Horvath, we have a little segment on the show that we call "Explain That Post."
Explain that post.
Right, so
okay.
Zach did a deep dive on your social media.
Oh boy. Yes. Okay.
Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that. Can the
all the audience can see it?
Audience can see it. Okay. Yeah. So one of the treats of being an economic developer in this county and knowing a lot of people and working in a lot of communities is you get to do some fun local events. And so what this particular picture refers to, Langsburg has a Winterfest every year in their downtown. And, boy, this has had to be at least 10, 12 years ago.
We did a deep dive.
Yeah, deep dive. They asked me.
And you look like a different person in that picture.
I am a lot smaller now. Yeah, I've dropped about 100 pounds. Fitness Coliseum.
That's amazing.
So what happened was they asked me to be a celebrity pie eater for their Winterfest event that year. And so what happened was no hands. They put a garbage bag over me. And, we just bent over a picnic table there at McClintock Park in Langsburg and just started eating pies.
Did you win?
And, I honestly don't even remember. I don't even, it was just, it looks like I did, right? I don't know.
You cleaned up for sure.
I put a lot of effort into it, obviously.
Even if you didn't win the competition, with that much pie in your face, that's a win, right?
It's a win. That's a win. And I like to do that stuff. I've been in dunk tanks in this county. I've judged pageants before.
You did the polar plunge.
Did the polar plunge 3 times. I did Christmas light judging in 2 communities this past winter, and it's just fun. It's just stuff you do in small towns. It builds community. So I enjoy it a lot. So
awesome.
Yeah. So that's the story behind that post. Yes.
All right. Well, hey, I think that's a good explanation. Yeah. Sounds like a fun day. I don't think I've ever been in a pie eating contest. Either of you guys? No. All right. Well, if you go, that I can tell like that's the strategy. You just got to go all in.
You got to go all in.
You can't eat like a gentleman in a pie eating contest.
No.
You just got to go for it.
No. And those polar plunges, by the way, I did that 3 times. That is some really, really cold water. But what's also interesting, because we did it at Hopkins Lake, south of town, that water's deep too. It's deep. When you jump in, and I, went all in, right? I do crazy jumps off the deck there. You go down and you just start sinking because you're wearing clothes and stuff. So it weighs you down. I'm like, wow, is this water ever going to end?
It's a shock to the system. I
exactly.
Bet. Well, the last year they had it, I was supposed to do it, and I actually came down with a cold 2 days prior.
Ooh.
And I'm like, I can't jump in the snow ice water when I already have a cold. So
sure,
I backed out.
But we got a beautiful skate park in Owosso now, though, as a result of all that plunging. So
we at AZ designed the flyers for that. So, but
nice.
if we ever have another one, I'll jump in.
Okay,
it's a good cause.
I'll
join you. Yes,
we'll hold you to that.
Okay, and we're gonna get Zach to jump in.
Yeah, we'll all do it. All 4 of us. Yeah,
I'll die. Probably.
You're signing me up now too.
Yeah,
George.
we're all in. We're all in.
All right.
All in.
We'll do like a triple jump. Okay, so real quick before we'll come to the end of our show, but we always like to talk about the big elephant in the room. We talked a little bit about it, but let's talk about 2020 and some of the impacts you've seen. What are some of the obviously, as we've talked about throughout the show, is some big challenges for a lot of businesses, and you mentioned particularly which ones, and then some have had the opposite effect. But what are some of the major impacts you've seen specifically on economic development due to COVID?
Boy, it really is a mixed bag. We talked about this K-shaped recovery. I mean, so many businesses have been, struggling. I would say with the ones that have struggled, I used that word resilience before. That's really been my buzzword. I mean, I think some of the folks that have been able to make it through this, they feel like, I can make it through anything. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like New York. If I can make it there, I can make it anywhere, That's kind of what it feels like. So I think that has been a pleasant surprise because, we could have lost a lot more companies up until now. I think the innovation is something, too, and that's probably helped a lot of these businesses get through. You think about restaurants again, the ability for them to do takeout and online ordering and things like that have really, really risen up, I think, and given them. Exactly. So I think the creativity is good. I will say it has exacerbated 2 key things that were issues before the pandemic that are even stronger now. The talent piece is critical. Companies need people now. They're going to need more in the future. So we got to do more to build our talent pipeline. I mean, the reality is in the future, talent's the name of the game. You want to attract companies. I mean, you guys know this with your company. You hire talented people, obviously, to work for you, Tony. You got to have good people. And those communities that are well-positioned for talent are critical. But I'll tell you another thing that's interesting, and this is actually going to be part of our organization's work plan going forward, housing development. So, we hear a lot of talk about, housing. People, probably a lot of the listeners, boy, it's hard to find a house. It's true. We do not have enough housing. And that is actually, I believe, the top barrier to growing this community right now and getting more population, more kids in schools, more money, more tax base. We simply don't have enough places to put people. Yeah. So we're trying to be innovative, and we're going to try to get more housing developers coming to Shiawassee County.
Interesting. Well, it's been awesome to see the innovation of some of these entrepreneurs, some of these business owners. I don't know if you've heard about Cafe Rima over in Flint.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
They had a very creative idea. I thought it was one of the most creative things I've seen, and it's finding a loophole. But they basically they made a video that said they have the igloos outside, but they said we're excited to announce that we are offering now co-working space. So you can come in and have any kind of meeting, a family meeting, a business meeting, a meeting with your spouse. And since you're renting, and we'll rent you our co-working space for 10 cents an hour. And since you're renting co-space, you can order food, and we'll deliver the food right to your co-working space. So my wife and I have been over there a few times just to have dinner and lunch. So I thought that was a creative way. I don't know if it's 100% along with the guidelines, but they found a creative way to stay open and serve their customers, and I thought that just showed a lot of creativity and innovation.
Absolutely. Well, the other one too, I want to mention. I think some of the listeners know about him. We've got a national company that opened up an e-commerce hub in Vernon, Market Wagon.
Yeah.
So Market Wagon is the Amazon of local food. So it's like an e-commerce, fulfillment and delivery system. They're headquartered in Indianapolis. They picked Shiawassee County to set up this food hub. So we've got all these local businesses that are putting their food products on there, and they're getting sold online and then delivered to customers not only in Shiawassee County but in a 10-county central Michigan region, and that's helping a lot of these businesses.
And that's restaurant and grocery, right?
Yeah, restaurant, grocery, bakeries, produce, meats, you name it. They've got like over 30 vendors on there and over 400 products. It's incredible.
And so people can find that right at just marketwagon.com.
Marketwagon.com, right? That's right.
Okay. So what did you guys do to stay connected with your members through this time? I know we got a lot of correspondence, but what are some of the things you try to do to stay connected?
Tony, I mentioned earlier, I felt like we were on a battlefield, and it was a triage. And what we felt early on is we have to be visible. We have to over-communicate. That was a term I used a lot. We knew that, once again, there was so much uncertainty. Businesses were crying for information. What do we do about, money? What do we do about the virus? What do we do about employment issues? So we made a decision. We're going to jump into action. We're going to have calls. We're going to have emails. We're going to talk to people. We couldn't have face-to-face, obviously, but we're going to be, out there in the face of all these companies. So I personally have talked to over 250 businesses since the pandemic started. And it's been, obviously very difficult to hear the challenges of all these companies, but the reality is I'm very proud we were there. We sent out a lot of information by email. You got some of those emails, obviously. They weren't all pertaining to your business, but it was just good to have that information. And in many cases, people would share it with other people that they knew that it might be applicable to. So we wanted to be there front and center with our companies on the battlefield with them.
Well, I wanted to say a big thanks because my observation was out of all of the organizations, the Economic Development, Small Business Development Center, the Chamber of Commerce, all of the different things that are designed to kind of help businesses, the Small Business Association. I thought you guys really had the most correspondence. Like I got an email from you, sometimes multiple emails daily, just letting us know what was going on. Yeah. And I didn't read all of them, but sometimes something came across, something that I needed answers about, whether it was PPP, whether it was about the latest run of EIDL or whatever it was, and there was a lot of resources. So what would you say to business owners in our area? What kind of resources can the SEDP help them with if they're looking to find some relief or some help right now?
That's a great question. I would say certainly access to capital remains a big one. So financing, grants, loans, things like that. Talent is a big area we're working in, helping companies attract talent, retain talent, training, things like that. We do have some folks that are looking to expand, so we are helping with things like site location, land building, identification, other types of governmental questions, local, state, federal, getting through some of that bureaucratic stuff. We know people at those different levels. We can make connections. We're getting a lot of questions, obviously, on the vaccine, distribution of it, so we're staying in close contact with our health department, with our hospital, trying to get that information out. But really anything businesses need, we're trying to help them with. So we're here to be a resource, to be a trusted advisor, to be a connector. I've used the term, we're sort of a jack of all trades, master of none. We know a little bit about a lot of things, and we can get you to the right people, the right resource to meet your business needs.
So if somebody's not a member, can they still reach out to the SCDP to look for resources and look for help?
Absolutely. It's funny you asked that, Tony, because we've actually made an internal decision. We want to do more proactive outreach, actually, with the companies we don't normally work with to let them know, hey, we're here to help. Yeah. So, yes, we will work with any business in Shiawassee County, even if they're not a member.
Excellent. So if you're looking for some help, you don't know what to do, what's my next move, or, should I go in this direction? Reach out to the SCDP. They may have an answer, and if they don't, I know Justin and Brent, and they'll help point you in the right direction. And so we appreciate what you're doing for our community and what you're doing for us. The SCDP has been a huge help to us throughout this time, and not only have sent us work, not only have employed us to do work, but also helped us with some grants, and so we really appreciate it. And highly recommended if you're a business owner to get involved with them. Justin is very diligent in staying up to date with all of the information that you need to know and making sure that he's putting that stuff right in front of you guys so that you are informed. So the last question I have before we go into our last segment called Say It in 60, I want to ask you, what is a good piece of advice, or if you could tell local business owners in our area, what is some good advice you'd give to them in our community trying to navigate, as you've said multiple times, these uncertain times?
Oh, that's a really good question. Keep fighting. I do believe, even though it's really frustrating, particularly some of the businesses that are still not able to operate like restaurants, I do believe we're getting to the end of this pandemic. The reality is, regardless of individual viewpoints on the vaccine, whether or not you should get it or not, I tell business people, the reality is the only way we get out of this is vaccines. I mean, you've got to bring the numbers down to get people comfortable to reopen things. And I think we're getting there. I mean, the numbers are growing. Obviously, they're not rolling out the vaccines fast enough for a lot of folks, but I think we're going to see, as those go up, the numbers come down, and we're going to reach a point where we're going to be able to reopen. And I think we're getting toward that. I can sort of see that light at the end of the tunnel. So if they're frustrated, if they're scared, if they're concerned, certainly reach out to us. We'll help them however we can. But keep fighting. Hopefully the end is in sight. So.
Really quick, speaking of vaccines, have you seen this statistic? I think that Glenn Merkel shared it. It shows that Shiawassee County has received the lowest number of vaccines delivered to our county in the entire state. Do you know if that's true and why that might be?
I don't know. I mean, numbers change every day. Here's what I can tell you. I've obviously been in regular communication with Memorial Healthcare and the Shiawassee County Health Department. The numbers are not good. We are not getting nearly enough, and it's very disappointing. Now, I don't understand, what all goes into that. I will say when this pandemic started, I made a very clear choice personally, in my work, my social media. I'm not going to comment on the health aspect. Yeah. I'm going to comment on the business because people know me as a trusted business advisor. Right. So I don't know about why, but when I hear things like Memorial Healthcare didn't get any first doses in the past week, because that just happened, that's very concerning to me. Yeah, I mean, too. So why? I don't know why, but it's not acceptable. Yeah. So I think the answer is we, community leaders, our healthcare leaders, we got to keep pushing. We got to keep pushing on the state and the federal government to get that product to Shiawassee County.
Yeah, that was just something I was curious about, see if you had any insight on that. And I like your advice. I mean, if you're out there, you feel a little disheartened or a little, dejected, just keep fighting, keep pushing, keep innovating, keep thinking of ways to reinvent what you can do to serve your customers, and I think we'll come out of this thing all right. So we now are going to move on to the final segment of our show. We do this with all of our guests. It's called Say It in 60. I have a little spinning wheel here that I'm going to pass the phone. You're going to spin the wheel. Okay. It's to give you an opportunity to win $25 gift card to one of our local businesses here. Oh,
nice.
And if you can answer all 10 of these questions in 60 seconds.
Wow. Okay.
They're your answers, so there's no wrong answer. You just got to get through them all. Okay. Then we're going to give you a gift card. So I'm going to pass that over to you if you can reach that.
Okay, here we go. Spinning the wheel. It's a deli thing.
It's a
all
deli
right.
thing.
I like it's a deli thing. They have
too.
a sweet fire sandwich over there.
Oh, it's so good.
I really, really like.
Sweet fire, it's called?
Sweet fire, yeah.
You haven't had it?
I've never had it. No.
Fantastic.
What's on that sandwich?
It's like a panini. It's got it's like a grilled cheese. You get some chicken on it, some jalapeno on it. It's really tasty.
Well, let's hope you get one.
Yes.
So Zach's going to start the timer.
So 10.
Do I get a clock to watch or anything?
We'll keep you informed. There's no clock for you to watch, but we'll let you know when you get to.
Do most participants get it done in 60 seconds?
Well, so far this season, not to put any extra pressure on you, but every guest has won it this year. So
won it. Okay.
So yeah, if you can't think of something off the top of your head, just hit pass and we'll come back to it. But just try to come up with something. We want to give you this gift card. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Short answers, though.
Okay. So 60 seconds are on the clock. Are we ready?
Yeah. Go.
All right. Your time starts now. What is a must-read book?
Traction by Gino Wickman.
What is a daily habit that everyone should do?
Exercise.
Favorite podcast?
No Easy Way Out.
Good answer.
Must binge show on TV.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. What is your why?
My why? To help other people in this world.
What's your best piece of advice? 30 seconds left.
Work hard every day. Hard work will get you ahead more than anything else.
Favorite quote?
Favorite quote. The most valuable commodity I know of is information. Gordon Gekko, Wall Street.
Good one.
Who do you look up to? 11 seconds left.
Bruce Cook.
What does success look like to you? Last question.
Last question.
5 seconds.
5 seconds.
What
It's
is
helping
success?
other people. It's
Helping other
servant
people.
leadership.
I'd say you got it.
You
1
got
second
it.
to spare.
Hey, all right.
Good work.
Woo.
Awesome.
You're going to It's a Deli thing.
All right.
Sweet
Thank
fire
you.
sandwich.
Sweet fire. All
Don,
right.
he's
I get
coming.
a couple of
He's
those.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love. That's one of our
Great.
favorite places to go. So we'll enjoy.
Thank you.
Enjoy your
Thank
little. You got a Yeti coffee mug
Yes,
there.
thank you for
Maybe
this. With
carry that around and
Foster Coffee. I got my Foster representing local here.
represent Owosso Country Club.
Owosso Country Club. I'm
Yeah.
all decked out. I didn't wear my Michigan gear today,
Yeah.
but
So you got the socks on. I can see him down
I
there.
actually I do. I did. That's
Yeah,
right.
Michigan
I did
socks.
put those
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, we got the Michigan. So you're
socks
covered.
on. I'm
You're
covered today. Yeah.
All right. Well, Justin, thank you again for being on our show. It's been a privilege to learn a little bit more about economic development and what you do. Thank you for all that you do for our community. Thank you for what you've done for us. It's truly something that has been an amazing blessing to our company to have access to you guys. But before we go, why don't you look into that camera right there and tell our listeners how they can find the SEDP, whether that be online or call or whatever. Tell them what's the best way to get a hold of you.
Great. Well, if anybody that's watching wants to get a hold of me, we're here at the Armory with AZ Business Solutions. You can look us up on a website at sedpweb.org, or you could give us a call at 989-725-9241.
And you guys are on Facebook?
We're on Facebook, and actually what I would recommend, if you want to follow me, follow my personal page, Justin Horvath. We do have a work page, but I really post mainly on my personal page, and specifically, if people are looking for work, I do post a lot of jobs on there, and I refer them to the jobs board as well that was designed by AZ Business Solutions.
Another shout out. Thank you.
Thank you for that. So, but jobs is a big thing I post. So
and if you want to see all the things that Justin's doing in the community, like pie eating contests, that's also the best place to see it there. So
that's right.
Follow Justin on his Facebook page. And yeah, guys.
Yeah, thanks,
was a good
Justin.
time, yeah.
Thank you
Good-
guys.
good
Had a
pod-
good time. Yeah.
Good podcast today. Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Productive day. And again, thank you for watching. As my mother always said, you can't and never could until you tried. So go out there and try something great, my friends, and don't take the easy way out. We'll see you next time.